Hey everybody, I am very excited today to have Erin joining us at the Seven Eagle Group to talk about PCSing. So for those that are new to military terminology, that is a permanent change of station. And the joke always is there's nothing permanent about it.
I was going to say something like that too. Yeah, it's not permanent.
It is not at all. So Erin, I would love to hear a little bit more about your journey with Military No Stress PCS, a little bit about the nonprofit, and then we can go over some tips and tricks for people that are in the middle. I guess we're kind of wrapping up the end of PCS season here as schools start across the country. So tell us, what is your story?
Yeah, no. So thank you for having me. It was great when you reached out, and we are a relatively new nonprofit, as I mentioned before. We just got our official 501c3 later this spring, and so we're good to go on that. And the name of our game right now is getting awareness out there for what we do for military families. I am a spouse of 19 years now, active duty Navy, and we have done 8 PCSs so far, and it's been a lot in 19 years. Hitting retirement next summer, so I'm very excited for that. But what Military No Stress PCS does is it was founded by a civilian in 2021 who wanted to help military families when they move. His wife is a realtor, and so they got to know military families moving into the Tampa area, and he decided he wanted to be able to help military families because he doesn't have that connection. He's not served. He doesn't have intermediate family that serve, and so this is his way of giving back. And what we do is we have a PCS. We call it PCS also. It's a personal concierge service, and it's completely free. And really all it is if you are moving, if you have PCS orders and you have questions, I mean, yes, we all have questions. 1,000 upon 1,000 questions. And even then you get more questions after those questions. And so what we want to do is have you send us your questions, whether it's about schools, pets, houses. Those are actually our top 3 areas. Housing, schools, and pets are our top 3 questions that we get the most. And we have agents all over the country that are military relocation certified agents, like actual real estate agents who will help with the housing part if you're living off base, and whether it's renting or buying, we can get them plugged into that. We can essentially, if you send me a question about schools in the DC area, usually you have it narrowed down to, like a 20-mile radius from the Pentagon or from Andrews or wherever the orders have you at. And you just send us a question and say, hey, I've got an 8th grader, I've got a 7th grader, I've got a kindergartner, and can you send me the best school recommendations? And this isn't to say that, of course, we as spouses do this all the time. Right. We're not saying that you can't do it, but what happens ultimately is, at least for me, I go to the Facebook groups that I'm a part of and I search in there, or I ask the question if it hasn't already been asked. And then I get at least 20 to 50,000 other responses, which doesn't really help me narrow it down.
Right.
And so what we do is we will do some of the same things. We go into the spouse groups, we go to Google, we use Military One Source, and we go and we compile all those answers as well. And then we narrow it down to the top 3 to 5, depending on what you're looking for. And we also sometimes, most of the time, if we can find them, we can cross-reference like the district testing scores and things like that too, because that's important for people to be aware of where the districts are at with those types of ratings as well. And so then we send that to the person that sent in the request and say, this is what we have found, based on X, Y, and Z. So it's not just us going to Google and just typing it in and then sending you just links. No, we put a little more thought into it and reach out to our spouse contacts as well, especially having been in for 19 years with my husband. I know a lot of spouses, right? And they're all over the country, they're all over the world. And so sometimes I'll reach out to them directly and say, hey, you are in Korea. What can you tell me about how to get from the airport to the base? And my acquaintances, my friends have been phenomenal about that. They're like, oh yeah, blah, blah, blah. And they type it back to me. And I'm like, great. Because that's someone who's boots on the ground, right?
Yeah.
Someone who is literally doing it or has done it more recently. And it's especially terrifying if you have not moved overseas and all those questions that come to play as well. And so we just try to take what you're asking and what you're looking for and narrow it down into a more manageable answer, I guess, is really how it goes. So
Yeah. And to answer that question, you go to the terminal and you walk all the way to the left, and there's a booth, and you take the bus from the airport in Seoul down to your base.
well, there you go. I will have to write that down for and add it to my answer from when I researched that a couple weeks ago. So
Yeah, because that is it. It is things like that that you can research on Google, but having somebody sort through those answers is phenomenal. We just recently
yeah.
PCSed from Korea to Georgia, so it's funny that you used that as an example.
We've been getting a lot of career questions lately, so that's
Oh,
why
then
it's fresh in my brain.
yeah, totally hit me
Yeah,
up. That was probably
definitely.
that was one of my favorite duty stations, I would have to say, is South Korea.
That's great. That's awesome. We've not been, but I've heard great things about it. So if
It is,
you're
yeah.
headed there, then you're
Yes,
in
if
for a
anyone's headed
treat, I
there,
guess.
contact Erin, and then
Yeah.
Erin
Yes.
use her
Yes.
network, which includes me,
Mhm.
and we will get you sorted out. Um,
Absolutely.
yes, so a lot of times, military spouses and families, we get so used to moving, it becomes just a normal thing. Like you said,
Mhm.
you're on move number 8, we're on move number 7, that we think that we can do it without reaching out and asking for help. So, what is the benefit, do you think, as far as stress level and resiliency, to have your own personal concierge service person, your own PCS, helping you with the move?
Yeah, that is a great question. And it makes me think of so I have 4 children, and the last 2 are twins. And I was never prepared for twins, but because I had the older 2, I thought, oh, this piece of cake, right? No, it was not. They're what really taught me it's okay to ask for help. You know, everyone, my parents, my family, they looked at me like, oh, you're such a great mom. You've got 2 older boys, and now you're gonna have twins, and it'll be fine, it'll be great, and you can do it all by yourself. And I think what happens with military spouses is we get that same kind of image, right? Like
Mhm.
we're strong, we're resilient, and we are. Don't get me wrong, we are definitely all of those things. But it's not weakness to ask for help. It
Right.
is. It's. I view it as a sign of strength. Like I recognize that there are some things that so and so is willing to help me with. You know, or if I always say yes to food. If people are offering to bring you food, do it. Don't, get off, just calm yourself and just say, "Yes, yes, I will take your casserole. Bring it over for sure." And that way too, you're letting them help and that makes them feel good. And then you are accepting help and then you don't have to cook. Like why
Right.
not? So it's
And
kind of
then if the kids don't like it, you just say, "Well, I didn't make it. Let's be polite and eat the food." And then half the time they
exactly.
eat something that they never would have eaten.
That is true. Yeah, absolutely. I get some, when I had the kids and stuff for the meal trains, I've gotten some things I'm like, "Oh, I never would have made that." But it's good. Like and then you add it to your regular menu and
Yeah.
they don't know any
Or
different.
when you're sleep deprived because you're either having a baby or you're
Absolutely.
PCSing, like
Right?
anything tastes good.
Yes. Yes, it does for
Yeah.
sure. So yeah, just yeah, if someone is offering to help and it just reduces that stress level a little. Our the name of our organization is a little misleading because it does say military no stress PCS, but if we're being honest, it's that'll never ever be the case. There will always be some stress to your PCS for sure, but we just want to help take some parts of that off. And even if you've moved and you're in your new area and you've gotten the boxes unpacked and you you've completed that part and you still want to know like how to get plugged into the community or if you're looking for like a plumber or some kind of tech um, some kind of service, send us that message too because we are working on building our partner list of things in that area, plumbing,
Mhm.
handyman, lawn mowing, pool services, things like that. We will definitely do the same look it up in those groups, Google, I was going to say something, Yelp is what I was going to say. And send those. Yeah, absolutely.
That is a great tip, because I feel like once I get stuck somewhere, I'm like, I should just be able to figure it out.
Right. And it's not to say you can't, but should you have to?
Right.
Right? Like we were just talking before we came out in here, like we've all done this. I've done it 8 times plus some inner, like, not official PCS moves, but like when your house leases up and you have to find a different house in the middle of a pandemic. That was great fun. I enjoyed that immensely. But you do them, and spouses have done them for years upon years upon years. But now, why should you have to? Like, let us help you. We genuinely want to help and get you steered in the right direction if we can't find the direct answer.
Yeah, there are so many more benefits nowadays with technology. You don't have to go to the Airman Family Readiness Center, check out a VHS of your base that you're heading to, and then do the research yourself. So
Absolutely.
at the same time, we can be bombarded with too much information. So I like that you have people that sort through everything and kind of narrow it down. That seems like one of the most helpful things you can do when you're PCSing.
Absolutely. Yep.
Are you the kind of person that keeps a binder when you PCS to stay organized, or how do you navigate that project?
You would think so. Anyone who knows me knows how fairly organized I am, but I do not have a binder. And I know people that do, and it's a legit thing, but I personally do not have one. My husband, fortunately, has been around for most of our moves, and so he kind of takes the lead on that, and I'm just here to be, eye candy or whatever and watch the movers so that stuff gets packed. And I manage the children and the dog and, things like that. But he is usually involved with the stickers and the checking things off the list and stuff like that.
Yeah, we tried a binder the first, I think, 2 or 3 moves. And then we found we just do an accordion folder.
Oh,
and
yeah.
and put all the paperwork in there. And we found that is the best for us. It's still not, I've always wanted to be a binder person.
I know.
Every time we move, I'm like, I'm gonna do it this time. I'm gonna be super organized.
Yeah.
To that point.
Yeah. It's just, it's a tricky thing that I think if that's how you are in real life, then it's easier to be that for PCS times and stuff. But yeah, it's a tricky thing to be a binder person.
Yeah. So what is the best advice you have ever received when you're PCSing?
And that's a good question. I don't know that I've ever received any advice. I mean,
Or what's your biggest tip? Your best tip?
really accept help, whether it's from your neighbors or your family. A couple years ago, we got very last minute orders to overseas. We weren't expecting to go overseas, and the turnaround time was like, we got the orders at the end of April, and my husband had to be there in June.
Oh, wow.
And then the kids and I didn't have passports because we hadn't gone out of the country, and we didn't have visas. And so I actually reached out to my parents and said, "Hey, can you come and help me with this one weekend?" And they were like, "Yep, absolutely." So they came. I reached out to my in-laws too, and I said, "Hey," they were traveling around the country at that time. And so with the house being, the lease was up, but we still had to sit and wait for the visas. My husband was already overseas. And so they came out and they took the little ones, and then I was able to take the big ones, and just that allowed me a little bit more freedom to be able to kind of get things wrapped up, because they were here watching. The twins were 3 at the time.
Wow.
And so accept help from anyone who offers it, and just assume that, I assume the best of people. I'm an optimist, glass half full kind of girl. And so I assume that they genuinely want to help me. And if I was offering help, I would genuinely want to help someone else. And that's what I do. I try to connect people as well. In any new place that I go, even if I'm new to the area, I'm just still like, "Hey, this person, you are looking for this. I think I know someone," or, I try to connect people because I genuinely want to help, because I know what it's like.
Yeah.
So accept help.
Yeah. We've all been there, stuck with, I've never been in that situation. That sounds extremely stressful. But I've been stuck with the dog that doesn't have the correct paperwork, and we're trying to get overseas, and just relying on people to help. and opening yourself up to receive that help.
Yes, yes, definitely.
Yeah. We like to put our utensils in the kitchen into Ziploc bags.
Yep, yep. Read about that. Yeah, I don't even know. I can't like specifically. We just every move I feel like is different for us because we learn new ways to do things, or like we should do it this way this time. And fortunately, we have never accidentally gotten our garbage packed. So I mean, that's a win, right?
That is a
Put your
big one.
garbage, put your garbage in the do not pack section. That's my other big tip. Do not let them pack your garbage.
Yeah, we had a friend once that they couldn't find their cat, and their cat had been packed
Oh,
in the mattress because it climbed in the mattress to hide. So then they
oh,
had to unpack the mattress.
right.
They got the
Yes,
cat out.
yes,
Uh,
yes. Make sure your pets are not in the in the
yeah,
pack area.
make sure your cats are not in the in the pack
Mhm,
area.
mhm.
When you are moving overseas, a lot of people who have never done that don't know that their stuff goes in the wooden crates. Inspect the crates.
Right.
They're supposed to be brand
Yep.
new
Mhm,
or like
mhm,
new,
mhm.
and you can,
Yep.
and then also you can always request the quality assurance manager from the base can come out and
Sure. Yeah.
help supervise a move. So if you're there by yourself,
Mhm.
like if your spouse is gone, you can always call quality assurance and just say, "Hey, can you come just be a second set of eyes for a couple minutes?" And it's amazing
Absolutely.
how smoothly things can go when quality
When
assurance shows up.
right, when someone official is there. Absolutely, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. The unaccompanied baggage is also something that's I wasn't aware of was a thing, when you go overseas. That's the shipment you can
Oh, yeah.
send that's supposed to arrive before your household goods. It doesn't always, but, things like, garbage little small garbage cans, even, like, rugs are really
Mhm.
helpful if you just pack a couple small rugs, like a broom even. It's just amazing those little things that really help on either end, whether you're going overseas or you're coming back to the States or wherever, just because you don't know when your stuff is going to get to you, so it's
Yeah, I think
helpful.
the average is 3 months for the
I
large
feel like
household shipment.
yep, and that's if there's no hurricanes or any, natural type of influence that delays it, because that happened to us.
Yeah, and
It's
then, yep, by the time you unpack, you're like, "Well, this doesn't fit anymore."
right. I know,
Yeah,
yes.
for me and the kids, goes both ways.
Right. Yep, yep, absolutely.
So what
Yeah,
is your
for sure.
favorite duty station that you've been located at?
And I've been asked this question before, and I don't really have a favorite. I do have certain things about each that I really enjoyed. When we were overseas, we lived on base, and the community there was rather small because most everyone lived on base. You could live out in town, but I developed some of the greatest friendships over there, and we're still friends now, and we still make efforts to see each other, even though we're not in the same space. Although one of them was we were in the same station here for the last year, and then they got last minute orders to somewhere else, and I was really mad because I thought she was going to be here for the next year, but um and things like that really make a difference. And we were able to go and see a lot of things in Europe and over there, but it's not, I guess, it's not my favorite because there were a lot of hard things about being overseas too that I would not do. Just being so far away from my family,
Right.
learning the difference in the culture, because I just didn't know much about. We were in Italy, and I didn't know much about Italy culture, and just trying to adjust to those things too. It was tricky. And just, like we had a medical emergency for one of my kids at the time and had to go out to an Italian hospital, and we were there for a week and things like that. I'm just like, that's not things I would want to for anyone to have to go through. And I just, there's pros and cons to each of them. I don't necessarily have a favorite. I like some more than others, I guess, too. We were in Florida for 3 years, and that was a hot, sweaty mess. And
Yep.
I'm not a Florida person, so that was good for me to learn that, I suppose. But yeah, there's pros and cons to all of it.
Yeah, there are. I think you brought up I agree with you and the whole hospital thing and medical care overseas, that can be a you can see differences, like needing to bring
Yes.
your own towels to the hospital. Um,
Right.
Random things that in America, you're like, "Oh, well, this is gonna like there's going to be a towel and Kleenex and toilet paper." And then you
Yeah,
get there
yeah.
and you're like, "Well, that is very different." Um,
That's not what I expected at all. And I can go with the flow. I'm pretty relaxed and laid back with most things. It's just this with my child being sick and having to focus on that, but also like learn these things that I didn't know about the medical care in Italy. It just made it harder,
yeah,
really. That's all. But
yeah,
we learn from those things, and it helps us grow as people, I think.
it does, yes, and then driving overseas too. And then you get to different states in America and you're like, "Well, people drive differently in every state also."
That they do. They do. It was a little tricky in Italy. Stop signs are kind of like a suggestion.
Mhm.
And so I got to the point where I just would kind of like use it as a yield, and I'd look and I'd be like, okay, I'm good. And I never stopped. When we got back to the States, I had to actively remind myself, you have to stop at a red light, because that, like if I was turning, of course, not if
Yeah,
I wasn't going to go through
right.
a red light, but, or a stop sign, because I was so used to not doing it. Because if you stopped at a stop sign and someone was behind you, they're expecting you to go.
Mhm.
They don't think you're going to stop. And so you increase your chances for an accident. And it's just, yeah, differences in things when you're overseas, when you come back. And like I call the States the land of convenience, because you can get almost anything you want at any time of the day. And on one hand, it's a good thing, and on the other hand, it's probably a little much. But when you're overseas and you don't have it, you don't realize that you miss it.
Yeah, you don't have to wait 3 months for an Amazon package. Uh,
Exactly.
Amazon
Yes.
Prime to arrive.
Usually you don't. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. So you guys are looking at your last PCS as a family. So if anybody has any advice for Erin on that last PCS, definitely connect with her and send it to her.
Yes.
I'm excited
Yes.
to see how that goes for you.
Yes. I'm looking for so I have like a career mentor, because I'm trying to get my ducks in a row for when we do end up as civilians, and trying to, like we'll be in one spot so I can actually get a job for
Yay.
longer than a year or two at a time. Just trying to figure out what I want to do with my life. So I have that, but what I need is like a retiree mentor, someone who's recently gone through this and can tell me things that they didn't know, or give me advice on things that I should maybe do or think about that I just don't know to think about them. So if anyone has any tips or tricks that they've learned from retiring, please let me know, because I it's a little scary. It's a little intimidating right now to think about it.
I know I look at our timeline and I think we still have 5 years left until, and I know I have to think about it before the 5-year mark, but oh,
Yeah, yeah.
like it's
I would say
only
about a year out, you can kind of start thinking about, like, you as a spouse. I mean, my husband has been with the spreadsheets and all that kind of
yeah.
stuff, and since I think probably about this time last year, so maybe 2 years out for them, just to kind of figure out what they are, what programs they're going to utilize to figure it out, and then
Mhm.
for spouses, probably about a year out to kind of start really actively thinking about it, and like, where do you want to go? Do you have kids? What schools are you looking for? And just a lot of different things that you just don't, at 5 years out, you're not really thinking about it. I mean,
Now, when you're a year out, you're like, "I really want that outlet in that hall closet so I can plug my chargeable vacuum in and
exactly.
build a
Yes.
dream home."
Right. That is another thing too that we've learned. A lot of the houses we've lived in have been very different. So now we know like what we like and what we don't like, so that when we do go to buy that forever home, we can say definitively, we do not like that, and we're not going to get that house because of X, Y, and Z. And we won't have to, like with renting and moving a lot. It's fine. This house is fine. It's got some great things about it, and it's got some things I would not, if it was my home, I would not do that. But it works for 2 years, 3 years, and now we can be a little bit more picky. But because we've stayed in so many different places, we have that idea of what we like. I didn't know that existed. Now I want that. I want that in my house.
So what do you have to have in your house if you had a dream house that you could choose?
A flat driveway, a flat wide driveway. I mean, it's ridiculous. Our driveway now is kind of on a hill and it kind of slopes and then it narrows. And of course, being that I have 4 kids and a dog, I have a bigger SUV. And so it's just navigating that driveway. Like if I could have a flat, wide driveway and a big garage to fit both cars, that would be ideal. Like that is a deal breaker for me. My husband will probably be like, "That's so stupid. We can do anything. We can modify anything," he says. But to me, if it doesn't have a flat driveway, it's nope, it's out.
No, that is so important. Every time I pull out, I just want a bigger driveway because this
I
house was
know.
built so we're in base housing. It was built in 1959. Um,
Okay, yeah.
so,
Hmm.
and we have 4 kids, but we just have a Highlander. So it's a smaller car
Hmm.
for a
Hmm.
big family. But even then, I'm just like, it's like inches. I'm like, thank
Right.
goodness we got all the cameras on this car so I can
I
make sure the
know.
other
Yeah,
car is.
and the sensors too.
Yeah,
Yeah, those are super
I love
helpful.
Love it. So if people
Yeah.
want to get involved in military no stress PCS, do you guys look for volunteers, donations? How can they help support this nonprofit?
Absolutely. So we have our website, of course, and we're still some of it's we're still building, but our main part of the website is the concierge part. So that's right on the homepage. We do have some buttons you can donate if you want. We are an Amazon Smile charity now, thanks to our new fundraising leads that got us set up with that. But in order for us to keep this free, that's why we brought on a fundraising people so that they can go look for grants and things like that. But also, donations from people that maybe want to contribute to a charity, to a nonprofit, and they didn't know that we existed. So now we exist. So you can go and check out our websites. And if you want to volunteer and be a concierge agent, we certainly would take volunteers. Just have to send us an email, send us a note through our website, and we'll get back to you. It'll probably be me getting back to you. So yeah, I look forward to that.
Awesome. I will definitely put the link to the website at the end of this video so everybody can access it.
Mhm.
Because to have those services available for free just can make everybody's life so much easier. So I
Yeah.
appreciate that. I don't know when our next move is going to be. We're still trying to figure that out. We're here now, so that's great.
Hmm. Hmm.
But I will definitely, like, I'm okay handing stuff off as I
Right.
go. Because,
Absolutely. For
yeah, like
sure.
we were talking earlier, this move, we hired an interior decorator to come and hang up everything that we own, and she did it in such a short period of time. Brought the curtains, the curtain rod, the pillows, and just got our
Right.
whole
Right.
house up.
Yep.
And
That
I
is
was able
money
to.
well spent.
Yeah, it was that is not what I'm good at, and I could have done it, yeah. Um,
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. That's
Amazing.
great. No, that's a good comparison because I wouldn't think to hire an interior decorator because it is something we can do. But maybe when we move to our forever house, I might look into that because I wouldn't have thought of that, and it's just one less thing you have to do and you farm it out. And the beauty of us is that we're free. So you don't have
Yeah,
to pay us,
you don't have to
you
pay.
know.
Yeah, you
You
guys
don't
can
have to
help make the
pay.
military chic look good, and make the move
Right.
graceful.
Yes, we will do our very best for sure.
Yeah, I'm glad there's another resource that people can go to get their questions
Mhm.
answered. Um,
Yeah.
because when I was a young military spouse, that first move was so stressful, and
Oh my gosh.
especially we were civilians. We were just out of college. My husband enlisted. He went to basic
Yeah. Yep.
training. I'm moving by myself. The moves, like you said, they don't get easier. They just get different.
They
Um,
just get different. Yes.
and
Yep.
just when you think you have it figured out, the contract changes or the way the movers do something is different.
Yep. Mhm.
They won't let you put your
Yeah.
own like open now stickers on. It changes. So
It
having
it
somebody
does.
to help is amazing.
Yeah. Yep. That's what we're here for.
Awesome. So like I said, I will go ahead and I will drop the link in there. And if you guys
Mhm.
have any advice or suggestions or questions, definitely connect with Erin and she can help get you set up and take a look at their website. And they've had some pretty cool articles on different military blogs and the Stars and Stripes. So there's lots of information out there on how to best utilize this program, and to have somebody just go out and do all the research and bring it back to nicely bundled. Just we need to make sure we all take advantage of that. Such a great service.
Yeah, for sure. We're waiting. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Erin. Thanks for meeting with Seven Equal Group and me and discussing this. I hope everybody has a less stressful move next time around, whether it's permanent or whether it's just another location in our military lives. So thank you so much, Erin. And thank you, everybody.
Yeah, no, thank you again.
No problem. Bye.
Bye.